What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Real quick, in the last video, what we covered was we added our background in the video, we fixed our character getting stuck at the edge, and we made our gravity stronger so our player doesn't hover in the air while it's at the top position of its jump. So let's quickly play the game and see where we left off. So you can see the tiles in the background. You can see our jump is a lot shorter than it used to be because the gravity is pulling it much harder. And you're going to see that we no longer get stuck at the edge. We slide right through. Cool. So now, other thing we noticed was our jump got all messed up after we updated the script and reset the script in our player object, because it looks like the jump force of 9. And let me make myself smaller here and get rid of my background so you can see better. So the jump force here looks like we pretty much ended up hard coding it in one of our previous videos, or changed something down here, which is causing us which is causing the script to not get updated with the new jump force value of 20 that we put in our script. So when we tried resetting this script in the last video, our jump function stopped working, so our player would no longer jump. So it still works, But now if we do the script reset, our value, our jump force goes up to 20, but our jump button stops working, and we don't know why. We tried dragging our ground check object from under our player to our script. Let me scroll down to the script. Ground checkpoint, ground check here. Oh, maybe it's because the ground layer is set to nothing. We gotta set it to ground. Was this the missing piece of the puzzle? C, play, right, and jump. Whoa! Yes, exactly what we need. So yeah, the missing piece of the puzzle looks like was the ground layer set to nothing. But the other thing I'm curious about is do a couple undos. What if I have my ground layer set to ground, but then the ground checkpoint not being set? I feel like the jump is not going to work. Yep, jump doesn't work. So it needs to know where the ground checkpoint is. So let's drag that back into our player. And I'll do another test after this. So grab the ground check in here and let's test it out. Let's see, the jump works as expected. It works too well. It jumps way too high, so we're gonna fix that, of course. And the other thing I want to check is if the script now updates the jump value automatically once we save changes here. So instead of 20, let's go with 12. Save it, go back to Unity. Does the jump force automatically update here? Once it's done compiling, and I don't know how long it's going to take. Okay, looks like it's compiled. No, so maybe I spoke too soon. No, it doesn't. So it looks like if we update the script, jump force does not update here until I reset the script, which is gonna reset all these ground checkpoint and ground layer. So we don't want that to happen. Let's see if there's a better way to do this. So I got my Gemini opened up, and if you remember from the last video, we pasted the content of our script. So we just pretty much copied the whole thing over here. And now I'm gonna paste the screenshot. And I'll say, you remember we changed the jump force to 12, and I initially set the jump force, or let's just properly specify our variable jump force in my script to 20. It was too high. Okay, this is getting. Let me just phrase that better. It seems like the updating the jump force in our script doesn't update the jump force in the, what is it, player controller script in our inspector, um, until I hit reset, which also removes ground checkpoint and ground layer. Ground checkpoint and sets ground layer to empty. Is there a better way to do this? And hopefully it knows what I'm talking about. Okay, current player controller script. Right, 12F. Okay, I tried 20 jump force set to 20. Then changed my script to 12. A jump force of 12. As you can see, the new value of 12 hasn't reflected in the script. Um, Reset, which caused the ground checkpoint and ground layer to also change as mentioned earlier. And changed. Okay, so basically, you know what I'm saying. It's not the best way to phrase things, but hopefully Gemini will be able to make sense of it. Alrighty, so this is one of the most common hurdles when getting used to Unity. It is not a bug, it's actually a core feature of how Unity handles data known as serialization. Why this happens when you write the jump force in my script, the 12F is only the default starting value. The moment you attach that script to your player in Unity, the inspector takes over. Unity serializes or saves the inspector's value to your scene. From that point on, the inspector value overrides the script's value. Unity assumes that if you tweaked the number in the editor, like changing it to 20, you want to keep that custom number, so it ignores the 12F written in your C# code. When you hit resets, it wipes out all saved inspector data for that component, defaulting back to whatever is written in the script, which is why your ground check references and layers vanished. Don't need to update the C# script when you want to test new movement speeds or jump heights. Change it directly in the inspector. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is probably what we want to do. We just want to right click the name of the variable in the inspector, and it should have a revert to prefab, um, and it will reset only that specific number. So let's give that a shot. So here's 20. Um, no, that's not doing it. Let's see what it was saying. Right click the name of the variable in the inspector. That is, right click the text jump force. It does differ because we have it set to 12 here, but I don't see a revert to prefab in our setting. I mean, the player is not a prefab anyway, so maybe that's why, but I wonder if we should set the ground layer and the ground checkpoint within our script instead of doing it here. If there's a way to do this. Anyway, copy property path. Yeah, I don't see a reset option. It's not a huge deal, but uh, let's see what happens. Take a screenshot. Let Gemini know. Da-da-da. I don't see a revert option while right clicking the jump force text. Okay, so saying it would only appear if our player game object was a prefab instance. So since our player is not a prefab, it's just a standard object. Unity does not have a base prefab state to revert, so whatever. Standard fix, skip right clicking entirely, just manually type 12. Okay, I mean, that's one way to do it. Cool. Should we? The other question I have is exactly what we just discussed. Should we put the ground checkpoint and ground layer? Set the ground checkpoint and ground layer within our script player controller.cs script itself instead of, would you recommend this? Guess it doesn't recommend hard coding the ground checkpoint and ground layer directly into our script. Why? Okay. Slow. Okay. Whatever code we need to write would be computationally slow and extremely brittle. If you ever decide to rename that child object, your script will instantly break. Messy layer masks. Unity handles layers using bitwise integer operations under the hood. Hard coding it requires writing ground layer equals layer mask to get mask ground. While it's functional, it completely removes your ability to quickly tweak what the player can stand on. Okay. All right. You can read through this part if you want, but what I'm going to ask next is, should we turn the player into a prefab or just leave it as is? And what was the other thing we were going to do? Now or forever. Yes, it does want me to turn it into a prefab. So we have this instance, we could just drop our instances of a player into any scene. So yeah, so once we are satisfied with our jump, we can turn this into a prefab. So let's hit play and test out a bunch of different values. So 20 is way too much. Let's try 12. 12 looks pretty good. Can we get all the coins with 12? I would think we could. Ooh, just misses it, but I'm happy with the jump force of 12. Go back to our player. Let's try 13. Jump force of 13. That's a mess. There we go. I like it. So we're gonna go with 13. All right, so player, what do we got? 13. Let's go back to prefabs folder. So assets, prefabs, and we're gonna make our player a prefab. So just drag and drop, and now we have our player prefab. Cool. So just to know where this apply all button is, moving forward, anytime we change the jump force or speed in the inspector, you can click the overrides drop down at the top of the inspector and click apply all to save those tweaks globally to the master prefab. So let's give that a shot. Uh, uh, Overrides drop down at the top of the inspector. Overrides. Okay, right here. All right, cool. No overrides this time, but if we change something in here, 14, and now we have overrides, and we have the apply all button. Yeah, let's undo back to 13, and good to go. Double jump logic. Do we think our level feels complete? Let's try. You know what? I don't like the jump still. I think 12 is too high. 13 is too high. Maybe I'll give 12 another shot, or maybe even drop it down to. And let's try 12 one more time. Yeah, even 12 feels kind of high, honestly. It is doable. I can live with 12. I just think 13 is too high. Getting that last coin is very difficult, though. It's probably impossible. So we're gonna move this coin a little bit lower. Click on this coin, gold coin 2. We're gonna move this just a little bit to the right, maybe. Let's try that. Hey, oh no. It's still very difficult for a level 1. Oh no. Yeah, I suck at my own game. Very difficult. Level 1. Gold coin 2. Let's move it just a little bit more to the right. I think this should be to be able to catch it this time. There we go. Ooh. Okay, let me think about what else we want to achieve before we move on to double jump logic. The one thing I noticed is if we go to our art, items, checkpoints, and we have this animation and pressed. So once we collide with the trophy, we could kind of animate it. So I'm thinking let's get this part done. Is when we come in contact with this trophy, it gets animated. So let's get that part completed and then move on to double jump. So let me ask before we do double jump stuff, seems we have some sort of animation for the trophy. Animation art for the trophy. Do we make the trophy named? What is it named? End crest. Named and crest. Make the trophy animated once we come in contact with it. So we can absolutely make the trophy animated when the player touches it. Okay. Need to fix its import settings first so it matches the crisp pixel perfect look of the rest of the game. So let's just follow these 4 steps. So I'll just walk you through it. Starting off with step 1, fix the sprite import settings. So go back to Unity. Default of 100 is set. So we're going to change this to 64 pixels per unit. Filter mode to point, no filter, already set. Compression is already set to none. So we're going to apply and open the sprite editor for both. What does it mean by both? Sprite editor. Slice them by grid size. So slice by grid size, 64 by 64. And click slice, click apply. All done there. Now we're gonna create our animation script. So select our level goal script in the hierarchy here. Click the create button. Open our animation window. So window, animation, animation. Click the create button in the animation window to make a new clip. Create. Go back to our assets folder, then animations, and we're going to name this trophy idle. Okay, save it. And what we're going to do here is Drag the single sliced frame from our end spreadsheet into the timeline. Instead of doing, yeah, okay, yeah, end, yeah, single spreadsheet here, drag and drop. In the animation window, click the drop down that says trophy idle, and select create new. And this is going to be called trophy underscore pressed. Okay, created it. Then drag all the selected frames. So shift, select the first one, then click on the last one while holding shift. And we're going to drag all these to our timeline. Oh, okay, stop. Configure the animator. So we're at step 3 now. Animator window and make sure your level goal object is selected. See both the trophy pressed and trophy idle. We do see both. Go to the parameters tab on the left. Parameters. Parameters. Where do you, is this the parameters? Trophy idle. Yeah, let me just, so you know exactly what I'm looking at. Go to the parameters tab on the left. Click the plus button and select trigger. Name the trigger. Activate. Okay, I don't see a parameter though. Is this the parameter? Level goal object is selected. Okay. Where is the parameter? But anyway, you know what I don't know. Let's go back to idle. Click on level goal. Plus button. Level goal plus button. Select trigger, but I don't see a trigger. Let's go back to window, animation, and animator, not animation. So this time we gotta select this one, animator. Okay. All right, so animator, there we go. Make sure your level goal object is selected, so it is. And we're gonna go to parameters, there we go. Now we do see the parameter. I click on the plus button and select trigger plus trigger. Name this activate. Right click the trophy idle state. Trophy idle. Click on make transition. And click on trophy pressed. Hit the transition arrow. And configure the setting in the inspector. So setting in the inspector. Settings. As exit time. Unchecked. Transition duration should be 0. Conditions, add the activate trigger. Conditions plus activate. Yep, all done. And now moving on to step 4. And we just need to fire that trigger from our code when MaxDude collides with the trophy. So open your level goal script. and update to reference the animation or animator. And this is the code we're going to paste. So do we have a level goal script? Yes, we do. Level goal. Open it up. Copy the code. What are we adding here? Collision compare tag. Player. So all we need to do is basically compare and contrast, I guess. Let's have these side by side and update the code where we need to. Or you could just copy and paste it also, but I like to do things maybe a little bit properly. What the hell? It's taking up two screens. I don't want that. Just take up this one. Hey, cool. So, Unity engine, scene management. We don't really need scene management, do we? I think I forgot the progression logic to the next level, so good thing I didn't just copy and paste the whole thing over. So, let me just do this. Hey, I think you forgot we have logic to transition over to the next level once we hit our level goal. Here's what the current script looks like. And then just pasted the whole script. Isn't it fun when AI doesn't know what it did before? Hey, when combining your existing scene transition with an animation, we run into a small timing issue. So we need to call the scene manager maybe a little while later. So introduce a coroutine, which will allow us to pause the script's execution for a specified amount of time, just enough for the animation to play before loading the next level. We should also add a quick Boolean check so the player doesn't accidentally trigger the collision twice while waiting. So there should be the functioning script, and I'll just copy it over. We'll read through it later, paste it, and save. Go back to Unity, wait for it to compile, and now let's see if it works. Once it's done compiling, right, let's see. Play the game. Hate the scaling that resets every time. Oh, what do you think will happen? Okay, I mean, that's something. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you on the next one.